What's up guys, and welcome to my 4.2 updated Castorice guide. In this video I'm taking you over everything you do need to know in order to understand and build Castorice, including a kit overview, best Lightcones, best Relics and Ornaments, the stats you want to run for main stats and substats, and finally some general team building ideas. Castorice's basic attack does quantum damage based off her max HP to a designated enemy. Her skill consumes 30% of all allies' current HP to do quantum damage based off her max HP, and a higher multiplier to the primary target and a lower multiplier to adjusted targets. And if Netherwing is on the battlefield, the skill will become enhanced. The enhanced skill will instead consume 40% of the current HP of all allies except Netherwing, where Castorice and Netherwing will launch a joint attack to do damage to all enemies, dealing 30% and 50% of her max HP to all enemies. Her ultimate will summon Netherwing and advance its action by 100% and will deploy a territory. In the territory, all enemies all-type res will be reduced by 20%. If Castorice has the damage boost effect from her talent, the effect will be spread to Netherwing as well. Netherwing has an initial speed of 165 and it has a set max HP of 100% of max Newbud. Netherwing experiencing 3 turns or having 0 HP will make it disappear and dispel the territory. Castorice talent, the maximum limit of Newbud is related to the levels of all characters on the battlefield. For every 1 point of HP lost by allies, Castorice will gain a point of Newbud. Reaching maximum Newbud will allow Castorice to activate her ultimate. When allies lose HP, Castorice and Netherwing's damage dealt increases by 20% that stacks up to 3 times for 3 turns. If Netherwing is on the field, Newbud cannot be gained, and instead every point of HP lost by allies, except Netherwing, will be converted to an equal amount of HP for Netherwing. The technique allows Castorice to enter Netherville for 20 seconds, where enemies cannot approach her. Entering combat with Castorice technique active will summon Netherwing, advance its action by 100%, and deploy the territory. Netherwing has its current HP equal to 50% of max Newbud. Entering combat consumes 40% of current HP for all allies except Netherwing, and if Netherwing is not summoned after entering battle, Castorice will gain Newbud by an amount equal to 30% of max Newbud. Now for the Mega Sprite skills, the swipe you can do with Netherwing will do quantum damage based off Castorice max HP to all enemies. Launching the main attack, which is the Dragon Breath, will consume 25% of Netherwing's max HP to do quantum damage based off Castorice's max HP to all enemies. In one attack, you could use the breath repeatedly, with the damage multiplier increased progressively to 28%/34%, and reaching 34% will not have it increase further. The damage multiplier boost will not decrease before Netherwing disappears, and when Netherwing's current HP is equal to or less than 25% of its max HP, using the ability will reduce its HP down to 1, and will trigger the ability effect equal to that of the talent Wing Sweeps the Runes. What Wing Sweeps the Ruin is either when you consume all HP or just when Netherwing disappears. Netherwing will deal 6 instances of damage, each doing quantum damage equal to 40% of Castorice's max HP to a random enemy, and will restore HP by an amount equal to 6% of Castorice's max HP plus 800 for all allies. Other Mega Sprite talents, having Netherwing on the field will have it act as a backup for allies. Allies taking damage and consume HP, their current HP can be reduced down to a minimum of 1, where Netherwing will instead bear the HP loss. However, Netherwing will consume HP equal to 500% of the original value and will last until Netherwing disappears. And finally, when you do summon Netherwing, increases damage dealt by all allies by 10% for 3 turns. For her traces, her A2, after ally targets besides Netherwing receive healing, 100% of the healed amount will be converted to Newbud, and if Netherwing is on the field, instead it will be converted to Netherwing's HP. Each ally target can accumulate a conversion amount up to 12% of max Newbud, and after any unit takes action, all units will reset their accumulated conversion amount. Her A4, when Castorice's current HP is equal or higher than 50% of her max HP, her speed will increase by 40%. If Netherwing is using Breath Scorches the Shadow and deals fatal damage to all enemies on the field or brings them to a point where HP cannot be reduced further, Netherwing's speed will increase by 100% for 1 turn. And her A6, every time Netherwing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow, the damage dealt increases by 30% that stacks up to 6 times and lasts until the end of the turn. The unique global passive you unlock by just pulling Castorice will allow you to gain a revive when an ally receives a killing blow in a battle, where they will be entering the Moon Cocoon state, which will delay them being down. While they're in Moon Cocoon, you have to provide a healing or a shield to remove Moon Cocoon and have them have HP again. At the start of their next turn, if they did not receive healing or a shield, they will be downed again and will be triggered once per battle. Finally, for her Eidolons, her E1, when the enemy's current HP is 80%/50% of max HP or lower, any damage related to Netherwing, so the enhanced skill, the swipe, the breath, the explosion, so on and so forth, will be 120%/140% of the original damage respectively. Her E2, summoning Netherwing, will give Castorice 2 stacks of Ardent Will, which you are able to use in place of the actual HP consumption, so you can get 2 free breaths in. Castorice will also advance her action by 100%, and when using the next enhanced skill, Castorice gains a Newbud by an amount equal to 30% of a Newbud. Her E4 will increase allies' HP restored by 20% when Castorice is on the field, and her E6 will make it to where when Castorice or Netherwing deal damage, their quantum res pen will be increased by 20%. Netherwing can now reduce enemy toughness regardless of weakness type, and will also increase the bounces of wing sweeps of ruins by 3. For her best Lightcones, of course her best one is still her signature Lightcone, providing 30% max HP for the wearer. The wearer or the member sprite losing HP will get the wearer Death Flower, which allows the wearer and the member sprite to ignore 30% of enemy's defense when doing damage for 2 turns, and the member sprite disappearing will advance the wearer's action by 12%, that triggers up to 1 time that resets every ultimate. Very simple, yet everything it's providing here is very good. 30% max HP for an HP scaler is very good. On top of that, this Lightcone, when you level it, has one of, if not the highest base HP in the game, so that's another thing. It just gives you a lot of HP, plus it's practically just an unconditional 30% defense ignore at all times, so just a really big damage increase, and on top of that you get an extra 12% action advance, which is not always useful. A lot of times, especially on our best teams, you won't really notice it, but for specific tunings it can be a bit beneficial, and the reset condition is how you would get it anyway, since you need her ultimate to summon her actual member sprite to begin with. So yeah, everything this Lightcone provides is just super good, which makes it the best option to use. You can actually use Everknight's Lightcone on her as well with the same 30% max HP increase. Unfortunately, the base HP of this Lightcone is less, but it's still a good 30% max HP with solid base HP. The wearer's member sprite using an ability will gain the wearer Noctis, and while the wearer has Noctis, damage dealt by all allied member sprites ignore 20% of the target's defense. The wearer and the member sprite get 30% damage dealt for free as well. The last part is energy related. You ignore that entirely because she can't use it. So as I mentioned, more HP, that's always going to be good. This part of the Lightcone is more supportive, but it still does apply to Castorice herself, so you're still getting that 20% defense ignore. It's not as big with the 30% you can get on her actual signature, but it's something you can use, and it's also for the entire team rather than just herself, and also an unconditional 30% increase in damage dealt for the wearer and their member sprite. So if you don't have her actual signature, this will be the second best option you can use. Battle Pass Lightcone is also very good. The Flower remembers, increasing the wearer's crit damage by 24%, and crit damage dealt by the wearer's member sprite increases by 24%. At S5, it's 40% crit damage for the wearer, and 48% crit damage for the wearer's member sprite. You don't really need to focus so much on crit rate on her since she has crit rate in her traces. She also is able to get a bunch of crit rate through her set. So when it comes to Lightcone effects, if they prioritize crit damage more, it's better, and that's what this Lightcone exactly does. Plus also has solid base HP, so that's another bonus of this Lightcone. So this would be the third best option you could possibly use. If you have none of those, then you would be using the other Battle Pass Lightcone, Sweat Now, Cry Less, with 12% crit rate, and having the wearer's member sprite on the field will increase damage dealt by the wearer and the member sprite by 24%. At S5, it's 20% crit rate with 36% damage dealt. Even though I just mentioned you want to focus mainly on crit damage, unfortunately this Lightcone doesn't do that. It gives you crit rate, so it could be very easy to overcap depending on your build, but at least this will allow you to almost entirely ignore crit rate depending on your rolls, and also just gives you 36% damage dealt for the main source of damage being Netherwing. While this isn't the greatest to use, there's not really many other options. The last option, which is worse than all these and is just a cope option, is the story's next phase, just because of the increase to wearer's max HP. At S5, it's 32% max HP. She doesn't heal. Well, she does heal when you blow up Netherwing, but that's not really what you focus on. But yeah, decent base HP with 32 max HP increase. That's literally the only reason you use this. For Relic sets, her best in slot is still the 4-piece Poet set. 2-piece providing 10% quantum damage, 4-piece decreases the wearer's speed by 8%. Before entering battle, if the wearer's speed is lower than 110/95, the wearer's crit rate increases by 20%/32% and also applies to the member sprite. 2-piece will just increase all her sources of damage since she is quantum. 4-piece provides you up to a massive 32% increase to crit rate where you don't build her with speed anyways, and the extra decrease of speed will put you below 95 to get the full effect, and it's one of the only Relic sets that actually apply to the member sprite. So this is ideally the only 4-piece you want to use. This provides you extra damage in the 2-piece, and then 4-piece allows you to allocate a lot of stats to the crit damage and HP just by building her as you normally would. And unfortunately, there really isn't another 4-piece you could use. You'd mainly just be stuck with using 2-piece of a quantum increasing set, so 2-piece Poet and 2-piece Genius, with something like 2-piece Longevious for the 12% max HP provides. That's really it. You really do want to get the 4-piece Poet. For Ornaments, you still just want to use the Bone set with a 12% max HP increase, and reaching 5,000 or higher max HP will give the wearer and their member sprite 28% crit damage. So just unconditional more HP and unconditional crit damage, because 5,000 is not a high requirement on Castorice, and usually you have much more than that. So again, it's just free extra max HP with free 28% crit damage, actually applying to both of the member sprite as well. The only other one that does kind of work on her is actually the Arcadia set, which when the number of allied targets on the field is not equal to 4 for every 1 additional/missing ally on the team, increases damage dealt by the wearer and their member sprite by 9%/12% 12%, stacking up to 4/3 times. So the requirement here is going to be obviously having additional teammates, since with Castor's team, it's usually consisting of Remembrance characters that would have +1. It's not like Find on where you depart everyone. So this would be the other option. Regardless, even if you had the full effect, it is inferior to Bone. So Bone is the one you mainly want to farm, but in the meantime, if you do have this while you farm Bone, you can use Arcadia. For the main stats on the relics, for the body, you want to run crit damage. For the feet, you want HP percent. For the orb, you can do quantum or HP percent on a good build with good HP rolls, and also highest seed plus maybe even highest seed E1. Quantum damage actually has the highest potential, but you can really just use whatever has the better substats. And for the late group, you want HP percent. For the substats, you just focus on HP percent, crit rate, crit damage. For crit rate, you would want a total of 68%. Because with 68% crit rate, going into battle with opponents set active is a full 100%, so you do not miss a crit. So try to get as close as 68% crit rate as possible. Crit damage wise, just getting around 200% is going to be good. Of course, the more you can go, the better it's going to be. HP wise, doesn't matter if you're doing quantum or HP orb, you want to get around 7,500. Just like I mentioned with crit damage, the more the better. There's not really a limit that's going to limit your damage overall. To ensure you do not really get speed rolls, because getting speed rolls might put you above a 95 speed, and reaching above a 95 speed is a big no-no because Poet will no longer activate. So whatever you do, do not go over 95 speed. You would need a pretty decent amount of rolls to actually go above it, but do keep that in mind. And finally, for team building, of course, with Castor's team, it's notorious for the team called Mono Remembrance, which consists of Castorice herself, Cyrene, Evernight, and obviously Hyacine. So this is the main team, the best team you could possibly do. There are some alternatives, but missing one teammate here is going to be a pretty big drop-off. The lowest drop-off you could get is replacing Cyrene with Tribi. That's like about as far as you can go. Replacing Evernight, and especially replacing Hyacine for Castorice, is just a big drop-off. So yeah, you would, again, sub accordingly. So if you don't have Evernight, you could just put RMC in there instead. You can also put Tribi in that slot as well, so it could be something like this. The only real non-negotiable teammate with Castorice is Hyacine. Having Hyacine versus not having Hyacine, no matter what investment you are, is going to be the biggest night and day difference. So I honestly don't even want to recommend alternatives for Hyacine, but if you realistically really do gotta do it, then instead you could put someone like Luocha or anyone that just has high healing, where Luocha does have the highest healing of the game, so he would really be the only other pick. But yeah, Hyacine is like the biggest non-negotiable teammate. For another slot for an Amper, instead, you can also very much use Cypher. Cypher also does work on this team. You just want to mainly use AoE buffers that do have buffs that work for them. So someone like Ruan Mei could also go there, but if you're running this, Cyrene would get her ultimate slower, but since it's still mainly consisting of Remembrance, you still can't get it. So you can have a team iteration like that. If you have Evernight, but you need that last slot subbed in, then you could do that. There's a lot of iterations. Again, the main sub-outs for characters like Cyrene or Evernight is RMC, Tribi, and then characters like Cypher or Ruan Mei. And that is the full 4.2 Castorice guide. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, drop a like, it would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell for future videos like this, along with all the types of star content. And I'll see you later. Peace out.